Hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar From Spreadsheets to Strategy, where we'll be focusing on overcoming planning and forecasting limitations with NetSuite Planning and Budgeting. Before we get started, we have got a quick agenda for today's session, so you know exactly what we will be going through. To start off with, we will be discussing the current state of FP&A and spreadsheets and the challenges that you might be finding with that, before we move on and introduce the NetSuite Planning and Budgeting solution and provide a demonstration of NSPB as well. We'll wrap up with some of the benefits as well as the results that moving to NetSuite Planning and Budgeting can bring, as well as a Q&A at the end of the session as well. So as we go throughout, please feel free to put your questions in the question chat box and we'll address them at the end of the session. So a quick introduction to myself and Jeff, who will also be joining and presenting for the NetSuite Planning and Budgeting demonstration part. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Ross Johnston. I'm an account manager and pre-sales engineer here at OneKloudX. So I provide the account management on an ongoing basis, as well as assisting any leads or prospects that are interested in NetSuite as a solution through the pre-sales process. I'm also kindly joined by Jeff, who is one of our NetSuite Planning and Budgeting consultants. Jeff specialises in driving efficiency, strategic planning, and tailored budgeting solutions for our clients. So although today we are going to be providing a general overview of the NSPB solution, if there's anything more specific or industry-based that you're looking to review in further detail, then please do get in touch with myself and Jeff following today's session, and we'd be more than happy to set up a more tailored demonstration so you can review NSPB. So we are going to start off with a statistic. So statistics suggest that between 70 and 80% of organizations rely on spreadsheets for their budgeting, planning, and forecasting process. Now that means that there's good chances that most, if not all of you that are on today's session are currently relying on spreadsheets or relying on the likes of Excel for your budgeting, planning and forecasting. Now a lot of you may tell me Excel is great, which I would be inclined to agree with you, but there is research that shows that spreadsheets are open to various different errors and mistakes. So various different sources of research here. Starting off, we've got a study by the University of Hawaii that found that 88% of spreadsheets in their search contained errors. We've also got industry studies that indicate that 90% of spreadsheets containing more than 150 rows have at least one major mistake. So obviously, as these spreadsheets increase in complexity, there's more likely to be mistakes, whether that be formula mistakes or simply errors based on human entry into those spreadsheets. And then wrapping up there at the end as well, we have got another study published by the Frontiers of Computer Science, which found that 94% of business spreadsheets contain critical errors. So for those of you that are currently using Excel or spreadsheets in your planning, budgeting and forecasting process, then you may be aware that they are open to different errors and mistakes as part of that process. Now beyond that, carrying out your FP&A and spreadsheets is also open to a number of challenges that you might be experiencing today. Now this can range from limited visibility, so the business not being able to get that easy access of information that is needed across the business, to the data being siloed and not automatically updated, or even version control limitations where you're having to send across emails of different Excel templates, to manual effort, lack of scalability. The list goes on, and the challenges that you may be experiencing when carrying out FP&A and spreadsheets. Now, of course, when moving from spreadsheets to a dedicated planning and budgeting software, you can benefit from a lot of efficiencies. Now, research suggests that 21% improvement in forecast accuracy is found when moving from spreadsheets to a dedicated planning and budgeting software. So on to the topic of today's webinar, which is NetSuite Planning and Budgeting. So NetSuite Planning and Budgeting, also referred to as NSPB, is an enterprise planning, budgeting and forecasting tool. You may also hear it referred to as different names due to the history of the solution. Now, the solution was originally called Hyperion before it was acquired by Oracle, and it has more recently been referred to as Oracle Planning and Budgeting Cloud Service, PBCS for short, or Enterprise Performance Management, EPM for short. Now, regardless of what it's referred to as, it is the same solution, and as part of the Oracle family, as a NetSuite customer, this solution has been made available to you. So with NetSuite Planning and Budgeting, there is a pre-built data sync to ensure that your NetSuite ERP data flows accurately into the system and can be easily accessed. NetSuite Planning and Budgeting includes AI modeling capabilities, approval workflows, and comprehensive reporting across the solution. And as you'll see in today's demonstration, it allows you to carry out your workforce planning, your OPEX and CAPEX modeling, reporting, and more, all within that one solution. At this point, I'm going to hand over to Jeff, who's going to run through a demonstration of NetSuite Planning and Budgeting.
Thanks, Ross. And let me share my screen. So just wanted to quickly introduce myself. My name is Jeff, and we handle NetSuite planning and budgeting implementations with OneKloudX. In today's session, so I'll go over a live demonstration of the NSPB environment, what you can get out of the box, what can be customized, and if you have any questions, just send us the question, and then we'll answer those questions that you have. So currently I'm sharing the home screen for the NSPB, or the NetSuite Planning and Budgeting environment. So the NSPB environment is tightly integrated with the NetSuite ERP. So meaning we have data that are being pulled from NetSuite into NSPB, including the NSPB architecture. So meaning the segments or the dimensions from NetSuite are pulled into NSPB. So that's also the level of detail that you are reporting at or budgeting at. So in NSPB, as you can see, we have what we call here tiles or cards for specific process areas that you can get within the planning and budgeting solution. So first, let's take a look at the financials card. So this is where you can see the income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. So if I open the income statement, this is where you will see basically the detailed income statement. The actual data is being pulled out of NetSuite. And then we have also your forecast and your budget in here. So here, this is the income statement data. So we have here your actual, your forecast, and then we can also see the budget. So in this view, you get your three scenarios in one view. And then the forms in NSPB are customizable. So you can edit them however you want them displayed. And then here at the POV, or the point of view, you can filter between subsidiaries, or if you're looking at specific departments or classes or any other segments that you want to use to slice and dice your P&L data. So aside from the income statement, of course, we do have the balance sheet data as well. And then also the cash flow. So these are all, again, highly customizable. So these are all what you can get out of the box. But in NSPB, we have what we call, you can create what we call an alternate structure. So meaning the chart of accounts that are showing in here are pulled from NetSuite. So meaning these are your NetSuite chart of accounts. But then again, in NSPB, you can create an alternate structure. So meaning you can group accounts differently for reporting purposes. So let's say in a specific report, you wanted to have this accounts group instead of the original hierarchy, then you can create that within NSPB and then show that in that specific report. All right, so these are like the basic financial statements that you can get within NSPB. And then we also have what we call the budget and budget versus actual, so forecast versus actual variance reporting. So we have here like your we have the forecast variance reports and then the budget variance reports. So what we have here are like current month actuals versus budget, we have year to date, and then full year. So in this view, you can select, for example, I'm going to go to a specific department. You can select from the filter, let's say go to the executive department. And then from here, you can actually add commentaries about the variances, and then save those specific comments in the system as well. So other users can view or look at the reports or the comments made by other users. So you can see that in here. And then also the out of the box view is just have separate forms for current month, year to date, full year. But it doesn't have to be that. So this can be customized as well if you wanted to have just one form and then just have it all the different views in one form. So that can be done as well. And so now if we're going on the topic of reporting, so we also have what we call the report builder. So it's formerly known as the web reporting studio. So here reports within NSPB, you can view them in PDF. You have a web view, or you can also export them in Excel. So let's just quickly take a look at an income statement report. So this is kind of like a basic P&L created using the report builder. So this is kind of like a report builder where you can create reports that are fancier. So meaning you can format it the way how you want it formatted. So including putting logos or like colored layouts or anything, so that can be added in the specific reports. So this is, for example, the P&L. I'm going to change the view, just go to the actual, and then go to the base version, for example. And kind of like this is like the view. So you can put a logo, the report title, and then you can format it how you want it formatted. And then you can just also download it in PDF or do it in Excel. At the same time, you can also create what we call a report book. So meaning like it's a collection of reports. So kind of like a report package. So the report packages in NSPB, you can automatically send it, or I think not just a report book, at all or the other reports that are created within NSPB, you can create what we call a bursting definition, which is basically automatically sending the reports to a predetermined list of users via PDF attachment. So a report book, you'll get like a cover page and then a table of contents, and then there's all the reports that you want to include in a specific report book. So for example, in this report book, I just have the income statement, the balance sheet report, cash flow report, and then I added like a actual versus forecast report with the graph. So you can create these kinds of reports within NSPB, and then have them have like a format in PDF, a web view, or you can export these as well in Excel. So that's on the reporting, and then later I'll show you how these are done in Smart View. So Smart View is an Excel add-in that you can utilize if you don't want to use like the cloud environment. So basically, Smart View is NSPB in Excel. So I know we're all very familiar with Excel, and that it just gives us that comfortability level with using the system if we are in Excel. All right, so before we go there, so I'll just show you all the other features within the cloud environment. So we also have like the pre-built models that you can get out of the box. So one is the workforce model. So if you are doing compensation planning, so this is done at the employee level, you have the employee information. And then if you have like an HRIS system or payroll system that's integrated with NetSuite, so we can pull those information from NetSuite as well into NSPB. So the employee information is automatically updated. And then from here, just for example, have the salaries, and then We can also add allocations. Let's say if employees are shared between departments, for example, and then you just need to put the allocation for each department. So how this works is once you have the employee information, so let's say I'm just going to update one of the salaries, for example. For example, the salary is updated. What you need to do then is just hit the save button. So what it will do is the business rules or the calculations attached to the model will be triggered to calculate for the forecasted compensation. So other factors in the model, aside from, of course, the salaries and then the allocations, so we also have your assumptions for payroll taxes, and then super. So we have the location assumptions as well as say different payroll tax assumptions per state, and then also the pay schedule. So if you wanted to calculate the monthly salary using work days or work weeks, or you just have like an annual salary divided by 12, so we can calculate that that way as well. And then of course, the employee review. This is just after running all the business rules. So this is how or where you can see the calculated data for the wages, total wages, total salary, the race assumptions if we have, of course, super and then payroll taxes. And then in the model, we can also just add all the other calculations that you need in the model. Let's say if you're also like planning or forecasting, let's say overtime or annual leaves, service leaves, so all of those basically salary or workforce related accounts. So we can also add it in the model. And then in the model, of course, after all of these are calculated, so these are pushed into your forecast P&L. So let's say if we go to, we're going to jump into the OpEx model. So the OpEx model includes, of course, the workforce-related accounts. So the calculated numbers here are coming from the workforce model. So for all of the workforce or the salary-related accounts, and then all the other accounts will be calculated within the OpEx model itself. So I'm going to jump to select a specific department again, executive department. Okay. All right. So as you can see here, you have calculations for salaries, super, payroll taxes. So these lines or these calculations are coming from the workforce model, which is we have set up the employees for that specific department. And then for the rest of the accounts will be calculated within the OpEx model. So in the OpEx model itself, we have like pre-built calculations on how you want to calculate your forecast. So we have rolling averages. So these are based on historical data. If you wanted to based on prior year actuals, so this calculation is kind of like same month last year. Or if you wanted to do just a manual direct input into the account. So how this works is you just need to select the calculation, and then you can add an increase into the calculation that you want. So let's say plus 5%, and then you just need to hit the save button. So the save button will then calculate the forecast for that specific line, and then this number should be calculated. As you can see in the model that we have actuals from first month is April up to August, and then we're kind of like, or we're doing forecast September onwards. So the forecast calculation starts on the defined forecast start month. So you can update the forecast start month here. So we have what we call variables that are used to update the months within the forms. So what's your forecast current month? What's your actual current month? So TP means time period. So let's say period 5 is your actual month, and then your forecast month is period 6. So that's how it's defined in the model. And then, yep, so if we don't want to use the pre-built calculation, So you can just, manually enter the numbers directly into the model. So you can do that and then you can just drag it if it's the same number, or you can also add it in the total if you want. And then it will just divide the number based on the open months for the forecast. And then just hit the save button, and then that data will be saved in the system. And then of course, this information, when you go to, if we go back to, let's go back to the home page. And then if I go to my financials, income statement, my forecast section here for those specific accounts should be updated with what I have entered in the OpEx model. So the data will be automatically aggregated once you enter the numbers from the specific models into your forecasted P&L. All right. And then, yep, so that's basically the OpEx model. And then just wanted to show you one quick one. If you're doing a forecast or budget for capital expense as well. So you have like a, what we call a CapEx model, where you can forecast for new asset purchases. So I'm gonna do facilities department. So one example here is you're have a new asset that you wanted to include in forecast P&L. So how this works is you enter the information, and then the model calculates the monthly depreciation expense, which will then gets added into the existing assets depreciation. So as you can see in this form, so we have what we call an existing line and then a new line. So new meaning these are the new assets that are getting forecasted using the CapEx model. And then the existing line is coming from the fixed assets module in NetSuite. So we pull the information from NetSuite ERP for the existing assets depreciation, and then add the new assets depreciation to get your total depreciation, total forecasted depreciation. So this is useful when you're doing capital expense planning as well. All right. And one of the features within NSPB is what we call versioning. So this is where if you want to create like a different version of your budget or your forecast. So here, for example, we have like our base forecast here, and then this is where we can create another version of that specific forecast that we're doing. So in this case, for example, we have the worst case, best case working version, or you can add additional versions if needed. So how this works is you can right click on the grid and say you wanted to create a forecast version. So from here, it asks you, or it prompts you to select if you wanted to create a new version, or if you want to use an existing version, or use an existing version and give it a new name. So here, for example, just create a new version. And then I'm just going to name it version 1. And then from here, we're going to select from which scenario and version we're copying from. So I'm going to say we're copying from the forecast scenario. And then we're copying the base version for year FY25 starting period 1. And then I just wanted to copy the whole year, for example. And then from here, basically copy data 2, the same year, and then the same start period. And then from here, this is where we can make the adjustments after copying the data from the base version to this new version that we're creating. So we can add an adjustment for the revenue number, the cost of sales, or the expenses. So let's say I'm just going to do 5% for all of them. And then we click continue. And then here is just basically selecting for which entity or companies we're doing this versioning, and I'm just going to say all of my subsidiaries, and then I'm going to click OK, and then this start processing. So this is useful when you're doing what if scenarios. And there you go. So a new version is added, and this is basically the new numbers based on the adjustments that we've made from the base version. And then from here, you can make this your set version, meaning this is the version that will be shown in your reports. Or you can also do comparisons or do variances if needed for the different versions. But this is where it's like a feature in which users can create multiple versions of the budget. And then once you're happy with your budget or your forecast, then you can set it as final or lock that specific version. All right. Okay, so then what I wanted to show next would be the Smart View add-in. So I'm just gonna switch screen so I can show my Excel. There you go. So Smart View, what I call as what I said, is a MS Office application add-in. So once you have this installed in your machines, you'll see the Smart View ribbon in your Excel or your any other MS Office application. And then from here, once you click on Smart View and you have the panel, basically you'll see also all of the other forms that are available within the system. So let's say I'm going to open the income statement that we saw in the cloud earlier. So I'll just go to the library and then open or expand the planning income statement folder and then double click on the income statement form. So this is kind of like the Smart View version of the cloud income statement report. And then from here, just you can use normal Excel functionalities, let's say freeze pane, so it's easier to view data. And then I'm going to open, let's say, the OPEX form. All right, and then I'm gonna freeze pane again. And then from here, so I'm going to select the executive department and then do a refresh to update the sheet based on the selection from the POV. And this is currently how the form looks like in Smart View. So same thing with how the information is shown in the cloud environment. In Smart View, you can also, I think probably easier to do the inputs, since we're all very familiar with Excel, and it's easier to do this in Excel basically, or do a copy paste as well. So in Smart View also, one of the advantages of Smart View versus the cloud version, let's say if you're doing this forecast, is you can use like normal Excel formulas to calculate the forecast. So out of the box, you can get this pre-built calculations, the rolling averages based on prior year. But in Excel, you can also do, let's say, if you wanted to calculate this based on the number from another sheet, let's say times 10%. So it will still calculate the number, at the same time give us that formula that we use to calculate that number. And then submit data. So meaning we're kind of like saving the information that we entered in Smart View. So as you can see, we entered the number in Smart View on the yellow cells. It changed into like a darker yellow color. So that means there is changes in the sheet but hasn't been saved yet or hasn't been submitted yet. If you hit submit, the data or the color will change back to the normal yellow color. So that means data has been saved in the system. And this is real time, so all the things that you update in Smart View, if we go to the cloud environment, it will automatically show the changes that we've made here. Same thing also if any changes that we made in the cloud environment. If you hit refresh on your Smart View sheet, it will automatically reflect in this Smart View. And then you can also treat this as a normal Excel file. So you can save this as how you normally save an Excel file, and then save this into your personal drive or your shared drive. And then the next day, if you wanted to use this or you wanted to see the data, you can just open that Excel file instead of opening it from the panel again. So you just need to open that Excel file that you've saved and just hit refresh to update the sheet. So basically, once you have Smart View, it will just also, if you're opening it for the first time, it will just prompt you to log in your NSPB credentials, so you're connected to the system. And yeah, so basically that's what I'm showing right now. So all the forms that are created in the cloud environment, you can open it in Excel, and then you can save it as a normal Excel file. So you have, from the library, you can open all the different forms that we have. But one also the advantages of doing Smart View is you can create ad hocs. So meaning if you wanted to quickly do review or analysis of your data, you can easily do so in Smart View. So I'm going to show you real quick. So I have the income statement here, and I'm going to click on Analyze. So Analyze, I'll go ad hoc mode, so I can easily update the layout of the form. So let's say here I only wanted to see all my expenses. So I'm gonna click on the total expense line and say keep only. And let's say I only wanted to see year totals, so I can just click on total and say keep only. So what will show in here will just be just all the totals. And let's say I want the department on the columns or on the rows, so I can do pivot for the department, and then it will be shown in here. And then for all the others, I click on POV, and then it can just be at the top. So from here, I can just turn on the suppression for now. So if I click on total department, bottom levels, the sheet, basically all of these are the departments and then the total expenses. So from here, you can see, you can analyze your data on how you want it shown basically. So I have the departments in the column, in the rows. If you want it in the columns, so you can do that as well. And let's say you wanted to expand on expense as well, so you can just double click, and then it will basically bring you the information for the roll up for that specific dimension or account that you've selected. So ad hoc allows you to do this basically. So let's say I'm gonna have just actual, so I can remove all this. Do a quick refresh. Keep only on total department, and say I want it in the columns, so you can click on pivot and then it will be in the columns. And then from here, you can select all of these, and then you'll see that all the data, all your the view basically will change. So you have your departments in the columns, and then you see each account in the rows. So basically, once you have Smart View installed in your machine, so you can easily do ad hocs like this, and then you can save it as a smart form or as an ad hoc grid. If you're happy with the layout of your ad hoc, so you can reuse it the next time, just need to save it to see, or you can use it the next time that you want to use that. All right, and yep, so here in Smart View, like what I mentioned earlier, so this is NSPB in Excel, and still allows you to use all the other Excel functionalities. So you can also create a report within the system or within SmartView in Excel while connected to the NSPB environment. So that's one of the advantages of doing SmartView. And since we're already familiar with Excel, so it allows us to be more comfortable in using NSPB while doing in Excel. So there are certain features that are not available in SmartView, so you need to do it in the cloud environment. But then again, majority you can use in Excel. So this is really a powerful tool if you're doing your planning and budgeting processes. And yeah, before I forget, so in NSC we also have dashboards available. So highly customizable. So we have dashboards that you can create within the system. So this is very useful, of course, if you wanted to look at specific data in this manner. So this is the income statement dashboard, and let's just open one of the out-of-the-box dashboard that you can get. So this one is about balance sheet and cash flow. So yeah, so these dashboards again highly customizable, and then we have preload like metric accounts that are available for you to use, and then of course you can add additional accounts or metrics into the system so that you can utilize this specific functionalities. I think that's mostly it. And I guess if you have any questions, please let us know.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. That's been a great overview. As mentioned, we were mainly looking to focus on NSPB and being in the environment as much as possible, so you could get a good look and feel of the solution. But of course, we've only touched the surface, so if there is anything more specific you would like to see, then please do get in touch with us, and we'd be more than happy to provide a more tailored demonstration. So I'll just quickly share my screen again, just to quickly wrap up on a couple of slides here. So hopefully from what you've seen of Jeff's demonstration, you've started to see some of the benefits of using NetSuite Planning and Budgeting versus traditional spreadsheets or Excel for your FP&A process. So with NetSuite Planning and Budgeting, you can get reduced planning cycle times. So by using those templates and workflows, you can get those inputs and assumptions more easily. Additionally, you can get that more accurate information because of that pre-built sync with the NetSuite ERP, meaning that you get real-time accurate financial and operational data within your FP&A process. You can also make sure that the organization is aligned and there is increased transparency across everyone that's involved in that process, given that everyone's connected in a single environment, so you don't have to have external emails and different versions of spreadsheets going on. Everyone's operating off of that same single environment. Now, of course, all of these benefits combine to give you an improved forecast accuracy, making sure that you can regularly compare and analyze your actual versus your projected results, and then refine your forecasts as you see fit. Now, in terms of the actual results, although general benefits are nice to look at, the actual results of NetSuite Planning and Budgeting in practice, based on research, are a 38% less time in planning process. So once again, reducing the amount of time that's involved in that process. 32% less time creating management reports. So once again, being able to take advantage of the templates and the automated functionality that's available there. And as mentioned, a big win across the forecast and accuracy, so a 50% increase in that forecast. So to wrap up, we'll finish with the Q&A as mentioned. I think there has been a couple of questions so far. So the first question that we've got here is, does NSPB support WIP analysis on projects? The short answer is yes, it does. The longer answer is we can provide any additional information that you need on that report as well as part of that NSPB setup. Not sure, Jeff, if you've got anything else to add to that.
Yep, definitely we can do that. It doesn't come out of the box, but can be customized. Um, the web analysis for projects. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. And once again, there might be many of the other attendees here that have similar questions as to what it can and cannot do. Today we focused on the more of the out of the box functionality rather than the customizable functionality. But of course, if there's anything that you want to review further, then please feel free to get in touch, and we'd be more than happy to discuss that further. So we've also got a question from Marife about SmartView. So the question is, so NSPB works on SmartView of Excel only and not on Google Spreadsheet. You okay to answer that one, Jeff?
Yes. So no. So currently, Oracle SmartView does not natively support Google Sheets. So SmartView is designed to work as an add-in for Microsoft Office, so Excel, Word, PowerPoint. So currently, yep, it doesn't support Google Sheets, but I think I've heard that it's being worked on. But yep, as of this moment, yep, SmartView only works for Windows platform.
Right, thanks, Jeff. So the next question we've got is from Nicole, and we've actually got a few questions from Nicole. So we'll start off with the first one there, which is in the view of OPEX showing actual and budget, what triggers a month to be finished and show an actual column, i.e. when does a month switch from budget to actual in the report? Okay to answer that one, Jeff?
Yep. So also the administrator will need to make that change. So actually, I can quickly share it so you could. It's probably easier to take a look at it.
To show it rather than explain it.
Yep. So here you have actuals April to August, and then your forecast starting from September to March. So as the administrator will need to make the change. So in the forms, you go to set rolling forecast variables, and then from here you change the period. So here from period 6 as the forecast start month, let's say September is now the last close month. So you need to change the actual month to period 6, and then the forecast month to period 7, and then basically just click apply. So currently it's just not enabled in this form, but this is how you basically change it. So you just need to change the variables from period 6 to period, from specific period to a new period, and then it should be updated in the form. So if you click apply, it's basically this should update that. Basically, it just doesn't happen automatically. So again, the user or the administrator will need to make the change to select which is the forecast start month and which is the last close month.
Okay, so the next question that we've got here, Jeff, is there a standing / static budget and also a separate forecast which is updated throughout the year?
Correct, there is. So currently, the changes that we're making is in the forecast scenario. And then we have the static or the standing budget in the budget scenario. So if we take a look at, go to the income statement. So we have your actual and then the forecast. So this is where we make the changes throughout the year. And then we have the budget as well. So this is the static budget. So this is plugged and will not be changing throughout the year. So only in the forecast scenario that we're making the changes throughout the year.
Thanks, Jeff. So the next question that we've got is, can reports be easily customized for period, e.g. by quarters or other parameters?
Definitely, yes. So currently the what we shown earlier is just showing monthly, but definitely we can set up views of the report by quarters. You show year to date. Um, what else? Trading 12 months. So all these different period parameters, so we can set up within the reporting. So it's all in the period dimension. So currently, again, what's shown is just the months, but we can also set up quarter to date or just quarters. So we have quarters as well, and then the different months under each quarter. And then we can add year to date, or period to date or any other period parameters as needed.
So the next question that we've got is, in my organization, we have multiple custom segments within our chart of account structure. I assume this module is fully customizable to drill down where and when needed.
Definitely, yes. So custom segments, so we can pull that into NSPB as well. So you can drill down at that level. So you can, report or budget at that level as well if needed.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. And one final question for just now, but there is some time remaining if anyone does have any further questions. We've got, does this module have the ability to report on a cash basis as opposed to accrual, i.e. when generating reports for donors?
Yes, so I believe in NetSuite, so we can create like a safe search just to separate cash basis and accrual basis. So when data gets pulled into an NSPB, so we can separate those and then report on those separately as well.
Yeah, and that's more just a question of the configuration of the sync, isn't it, Jeff? Just in terms of how we're setting up that sync to enable the reporting in NSPB, because you've got the data flowing through from the NetSuite ERP. Perfect. So I am not seeing any further questions just now. We'll maybe give a minute or two just whilst we wrap up. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to add them in. But if not, thanks again, everyone, for joining today's session. And thanks a lot, Jeff, for running us through the demonstration, as well as answering all of the questions there at the end. If there is anything that you want to see or ask more specifically, okay, so we just had a final question there from Nicole. So following on from Dan's question regarding cash basis, easy for me to say with a Scottish accent, regarding cash basis, can we then configure a statement of cash flow report as per accounting standard?
Yep, definitely. So all of the reports within NSPB are highly customizable. So yep, so it comes like with a pre-built cash flow, and then it can be customized based on the requirements. So yeah, it can definitely be that.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks a lot, Jeff. And thanks a lot again, everyone, for attending today's session. Hopefully that has been valuable. And please do feel free to reach out to myself if you have any further questions or if there's anything else that you would want to see. Just a reminder as well, so we've got my email address there that's just been added to the chat box. Just a reminder as well that this is just one of the webinars that we've done of late, which focus around the NetSuite reporting functionality. The first of which we had was focused on NetSuite's suite analytics functionality. So everything from your dashboards, save searches, reports, and suite analytics workbooks. If that's a session that you were unable to attend but would like the recording, then please also feel free to get in touch. I see that we don't have my camera on there. So yeah, if that's a session that you are interested in catching up with, then please do get in touch. As part of that, we also produced a 22-page tips and tricks for NetSuite reporting. So once again, that's a resource that we've got on hand. Please feel free to email myself if you want to get a copy of that. We also hosted a webinar last month on NetSuite Analytics Warehouse. So if that's something that you're looking to investigate, then once again, please feel free to reach out to myself and I'd be more than happy to share the recording of that session. We will be hosting webinars on a monthly basis as part of our OneKloudX user group. So once again, look forward to seeing you all for next month's webinar. But thanks again, everyone, for attending today, and thanks a lot for the interactions and the questions. It's been great to present to you NetSuite Planning and Budgeting. And once again, any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself directly. Hope everyone has a nice day.